Hello, everyone, and welcome to our speaker series with Franco here, who will be coming to see us in South Florida on April 26th, right? April 26th. I am Debbie from the NCGR South Florida. We call it the South Florida Chapter. And we are super excited to have you. Just so everybody knows, we're going to meet Franco today and we're going to get to know a little bit about him, plus all of the things that we're going to learn in the workshop. And let me tell you, this is like a triple, what is it? A triple run or a triple play, because you're not going to learn just one thing. We're going to do three things during this workshop. So it's super exciting. We're going to learn about doing research in astrology. We're going to learn about doing chart rectifications if you're not familiar, like if you don't know the precise birth time. And we're going to do some really cool relationship astrology. I'm going to let you him tell you all about that. But definitely listen in so you can get excited and join us on April 26th. It will be live, and it's what we call a hybrid event. So you can attend live here in South Florida, or you can watch it on Zoom. You can watch on Zoom, and everyone who registers will also get a copy of the recording. They'll get a copy of the recording. So our topic is analyze this. So Franco, introduce yourself. Tell us where are you from? How did you get into astrology?
Okay. Well, I'm Franco. I'm located in Toronto, or as us locals say it, Toronto. And you can always tell someone who's born in the city because they'll say Toronto instead of Toronto.
So you get rid of that first O, just like who needs that?
Oh yeah, the cheers for the university football team. Give me a T, give me an R, give me an A, give me a W, give me an N, give me an O. What do you got? Toronto.
And I bet you're looking forward from that cold weather coming down to sunny Florida.
Yeah, it's been a horrible April that we've had this year. November was really mild, and it seems like the season's kind of shifted by a month. It's supposed to be a lot warmer than it has been here, but yeah, so I get to come down and enjoy some of the sun in sunny Fort Lauderdale. So,
Oh my gosh! And so, tell us, how did you? I love hearing people's stories. How did you get into astrology?
I guess you could blame my sister.
Oh.
I have an older sister who, started getting into all this esoteric stuff, and she, I was going through a divorce, and my sister said, "You're going to go see my astrology teacher." And so she sent me, and while I'm in the reading, it's like, okay, well, that's right, but why did you say that? Okay, that's right, but why did you say that? So, kind of at it from, yeah, I'm an engineer by background, and so, I like to understand how things work.
Right.
And it doesn't have to be, anything in particular. Like, for instance, I was playing in a band. I also play guitar as well.
Oh
And
wow.
I was in a band once, and the drummer was a short order fry cook. So, I'm always curious of finding out how people do things. So it's sort of like, okay, it's lunchtime rush. How do you deal with it? And then he explained to me his system, and I go, oh, okay, that's really cool. It's the way my mind likes to process information. I like to learn and understand things.
Yeah, your
So,
mind's like a computer.
yeah, a little bit. I wish
Oh
you
my
could
gosh.
shut it off sometimes.
So we're blaming on your sister. Your sister got you hooked.
Yeah, she did. And then after that, I started studying under an astrologer here in Toronto, originally from New York, Julie Simmons,
Okay.
and started working with her. And yeah, and then I started speaking at the SOTA conferences, and I've had a few speaking gigs here and there. But my professional engineering life has taken me all over the world. So in business travel, so I'm pretty tight. So keeping in mind, I picked up astrology at the same time as being a professional engineer, being in a band, raising a kid, coaching the kids' hockey team, learning tarot, learning runes, numerology, herbs, crystals, all at the same time, as well as energy and healing work. So it all happens in the time when I was off work.
Oh, and you had a little break. So tell, I'm so curious. What are your big three?
My big three, I am an Aries sun,
Oh, wow.
Pisces moon, and a Cancer rising.
OMG. When is your birthday?
This Sunday.
This Sunday?
Yeah,
Oh my gosh. And this Sunday, that's Easter Sunday, right? This
yeah,
Sunday?
yeah, I'm going to be resurrected.
Oh my gosh. I'm an Aries too.
Awesome.
And a Cancer rising.
Oh, no way.
Yes.
Too funny.
But I have a Leo moon. So, but that is, I had a feeling that the Pisces, I don't know, I felt that Pisces with you. So, oh my gosh, so you have a birthday, so happy birthday, but you're seeing us
Thank
after
you.
your birthday, so you'll
Yeah.
celebrate your birthday in Canada. And then, and you're like right on the cusp there too, right?
Yeah, 5 hours later, I would have been Taurus.
So you're 29 degrees Aries.
Yeah.
You know, got a lot, you got to rush this lifetime. Got a
Ah,
lot
yeah.
to do.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it sounds like you do. Like you're Aries on like steroids there. Like you're the Energizer Bunny. I'm learning this. I'm learning that. I'm learning.
But
Um,
25 years later, here I am.
and 25. Oh my gosh, that is so amazing. All right, well, let's share with everyone. Let's talk about these three topics that you're going to be speaking to when you come join us. So we'll start with the first one, the research one.
Yeah, so um, I was at the Donna Van Towen Soda Conference that she used to hold in Toronto, St. Catharines, Buffalo in the end. Um, that's where I met Alfie Lavoie. And Alfie's there, hey, I was an engineer too. And he's, oh, no way. He goes, oh, we got a research group. Are you interested in research? I go, wow, okay, that sounds kind of cool. He goes, we do stats and all this kind of stuff. Okay, I'm not going to scare everyone. We're not going to be doing a lot of stats, but I'm going to explain how they can be used and just to kind of give you a bit more background. But anyway, so Alfie's like, come and join our group. So I started working with Alfie, and it's been, oh, I don't know, I guess 15 or more years. And
Wow.
so, we're always talking to each other and looking at stats and looking at numbers and trying to figure out things like, when people say, I found three charts of a person who is a axe murderer, right? And they all have Mars in Scorpio, right? And then you go, okay, yeah, Mars and Scorpio, okay, kind of makes sense, but you got three examples now. Is that true for all axe murderers? And then let's collect the numbers, let's collect the data, and start looking at it to see how much different that is than the regular schmo walking down the street, right?
All right.
So that's kind of what really enticed me into working in with Alfie and trying to get an understanding of the what we're seeing in astrology and what's an actual trend versus a perceived trend.
Right. Okay. Yes. And you need a lot of data for that, right? Like that's what you're saying. Like three charts isn't enough. So you guys really dive into databases and
Yeah.
get to find patterns. So like I don't know, this might be too crazy, but like how many different pattern things have you found?
Well, here's the thing, though, and again, it isn't just we've got 10 planets.
Right.
If you want to use the asteroids, you can mix those in there as well. And now you throw them on a chart, and it's sort of, I go into it in my talk, and I basically show, I've got a slide that shows, what it takes to become a professional NBA basketball player, right?
Oh,
It's not, sure, you could throw and sink baskets, but if that's all you got, you might not be an NBA player. You might
right.
impress your friends on the schoolyard, right?
Yeah.
And so that doesn't make you an NBA player. There's a whole bunch of things that go into it. It could be, even, rock stars. Like, some rock stars are amazing guitarists and other ones are okay, but they sell millions of records. So why are they famous and not this other person who sits in their basement and just shreds for, personal pleasure, right? They're sitting
Yeah.
there, and wow, that's amazing. But do they get in front of anyone? Do they have the charisma? Can they play with other people? I remember doing a jam session, and the, there was a group of us, and we're kind of feeding off each other. And there was this guy in the corner just going, wasn't paying attention to the rest of us. So, like that guy's not going to be a rock star.
Right, right.
So,
Right. He might be more talented than some of the rock stars out there, but he doesn't have the other attributes that get him to that famous
yeah,
place.
exactly.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. And you know what's interesting? When I was reading that about you is because with NCGR, I didn't even know this, right? I joined the NCGR chapter years ago, and but recently I've been more involved with them, and I didn't even realize that that's really how it started. I didn't even know what NCGR stood for, and it's National, what is it? NC,
Geocosmic
Cosmic,
Research
right? Research.
Council or
And
something.
they're actually, that's one of the things that they're doing, the head group is bringing the research component back into the organization because it's really what makes this organization unique. Because there's like a lot of our astrology organizations, but this one, like that's their focus is what more research, and they're going to have like, little groups or whatever doing different types of research. So this is so cool because it could get people interested in it, and then they might eventually want to volunteer on one of those committees.
Yeah, and I think it's okay in today's day and age. And Alfie totally bemoans this point on, and I go, I get it, Alfie, I get it. And he said, it's talking about the Facebook astrologers. And, someone might read a book and they're on Facebook and they post something and someone else goes, oh, wow, yeah, this person on Facebook said this. And it's like, is there any merit to it? It's sort of, you get into these arguments with people and they haven't really studied. They looked at two books and then dismiss you. Like people dismissing Alfie, who's been in an astrologer. He's 90 now, right? And he's been
Oh,
an
wow.
astrologer since, I think he said he went professional in 1969. So,
Right. Over 50 years.
yeah, and they're telling him, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. And it's like, oh, okay.
I know.
So,
I can feel for him. I get that because I have people that say that to me, like friends, or like, I was listening to this astrologer on YouTube, and they said this is the best time for love for Sagittarius, Aries and Leo. I'm like, okay, I know why they said that. I'm like, but I also know my, her chart, and I'm like, what? I mean, I could give you better times, but sure, go with this time too. So I totally understand because I sometimes feel that way when they say it to me. I'm like, I just don't even, I'm like, okay, whatever. Sometimes the manifesting and the belief is just as powerful. So,
yep.
you
But
know,
so we're getting into this. Alfie was contacted by a medical doctor slash astrologer in South Africa, and he's working with a Vedic astrologer from India, or
uh,
or he's in Singapore, Indonesia. I don't know, somewhere else, but of Indian descent. And then he contacted Alfie, and Alfie contacted me. Because he's 90 and I'm younger, quote.
you're the mentee, right? You're the one who's got to take over.
So we're going to be working on a research project to determine when someone's going to have a medical incident, a heart attack.
Oh, wow.
So we're looking at studies like that where we're going to collect data from all over the world. So I'll be posting that in the talk as well to see if we could collect data and birth time and all that, and then when you had an incident, when you got a stent put in and all that, and see if we could try and correlate what will trigger that event.
Oh, that would be amazing because I was thinking about that when you were saying that, like if you could figure this out for health, like because I was just talking about getting genetic testing, right, to see if you have the predisposition for not that you're going to get cancer, but you have the gene that predispositions you. But I was like that would be interesting too, like as another way, right, of like knowing when you look at the chart of what types of potentiality you have for that stuff. And it doesn't mean you have to get it because now to me, I'm like forewarned is forearmed or forearmed is forewarned, whichever direction that goes. More is like now you know. And that's what I was
Put that
just
cigarette out.
saying to someone is like, then you know to go to the doctor, stay on top of your lab tests, be
Yep.
aware of what symptoms are and stuff. Because it's really just about being preventive. It's not to scare people. Like people always like, oh, it's not to scare that you're going to get it. It's that you have a predisposition just like that. Doesn't mean you're going to get it, but if you're not doing anything, then you might probably have a higher likelihood.
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been kind of off and on this. I was going to present it, but I'm not happy with the results that I'm seeing. I was going to do a stud, a partial presentation on breast cancer study that I'm working on, but I'm not happy with the results. They're not yielding, so I have to go back into my model and make some tweaks. So like when we're building up models using Alfie's fast research program, we put in all the criteria. And with that, should we be using 10-degree orb? Should we using 7? And then you got to rerun and calculate everything again and set up the
Yes.
model with all the different orbs and all that. So, do you go with the tighter orb? Will that give you better results versus the larger orbs?
Yeah.
And then you run a neural net artificial intelligence model where you can put in data, people's data, and then see if they will have the potential for breast cancer.
Wow, that would be amazing. That's so exciting. I can't wait to hear more about that.
Yeah, unfortunately, not at this one
Not
because
this one. So we'll have to, but don't worry, everybody. He still has some other good topics to share. I don't want him to, we can't have spoilers, right? I don't want to spoil it, but he's going to show us some research that you'll be like, oh my God, like that. And so we'll wait to hear about that on Saturday, April 26th. Make sure you register. Let's talk about the second topic because the second topic is another big one because so many people don't know their precise birth time.
well, even when people give you their precise birth time,
I always joke.
how precise is it? You
That's what
know,
I tell my like when my students like are like I do a little group program and sometimes I'm always adjusting it based on the story that they're telling and they're like I go listen come on back when we were born because most of my students are in that age range 40 50 60 I don't they're not younger kids and I go there were no digital watches there wasn't all this you had your wind up watch the nurse was like got her clipboard she's like oh okay her watch said it might have even said 10:17, but she's like 10:15, 10:20, I'm like, the clock on the wall says one thing, this watch. So,
Exactly. Case in point, I had someone give me their birth time, did a whole reading, and at that time I said, okay, keep in mind this is based on the birth time you've given me.
right.
2 years later, I get a call and saying, oh, by the way, you gave me a reading a while ago, and I go, yeah, and it's like, at first I didn't think it was, accurate at all, but everything you said happened 2 years later, and I said, that's because your birth time wasn't right, and that's another thing Alfie taught me was don't take anyone's birth time verbatim, and so we'll discuss that, and I'll be rectifying um, Charlie Parker.
Oh, okay.
So,
Cool.
and he was given a time, was rated, double A from birth record and mother's memory and all that. And no, you'll see how the approach that I take in doing so. And so I'll discuss that. Now it gets a bit more difficult if the person says, "Oh, I don't know when I was born. Was it morning? Was it night?" And doing
Yeah, right.
24-hour rectification, that's a nightmare.
Yeah. But the few minutes here or there, yeah,
Yeah. Well, even within an hour, I remember rectifying a friend's chart. He came in for a reading and he said, "Oh, but I don't know when I was born." So I started playing with it. And, when you get it right, he was at his mom's house and his daughter pulled up a photo from a photo album and who's this? Well, that's your dad. And turned around, it was born. And it was about a minute off of what I used in my chart. So,
Wow.
so, that's why it's important to get that birth time
Yeah.
and finding out, you know, getting people to tell you important events in their life. It's like, oh, well, I bought a pair of shoes on this Saturday. No, no, can you give me more? Like, was it significant? Did you break your ankle on
Right.
those shoes? I don't know. Like, you know, give me something with substance. Oh, I don't know what I did. And then you're looking
I
at the person's chart and you're going, ooh, Pluto here. It's like, did anything happen? No. Okay.
yeah. I yes.
It's like,
I I've had people with the Pluto going over the DC line. I'm like, okay, that's you know what that's going to feel like. And someone right now, I have a very close person in my life having Pluto go over their MC, and I told this person years before, but they didn't believe me. There, I was like, this is just like, no, no, no. And now here we are, and I'm like, yeah, so I get like, yeah, those are events. Now, for what we're going to be doing though, that will help all of us be able to go back and look at our chart and see if we might need to adjust ourselves a little bit. Like when we,
I did 12 seconds on my chart.
did you? 12 seconds is 12 seconds.
I clocked it to, oh yeah, there's that event. That was perfect timing. And I mean, when did that happen? Boom, boom. And so I corrected my birth time by 12 seconds.
Okay, well, see everybody. So, but yeah, if you'll at least get the process done. And remember that if you do sign up for this workshop, you get the recording. So even if you're like right now, you're like might feel a little over your head. Once you get better into astrology, you'll come back, watch this workshop again, and then you'll be able to tweak your chart.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun. Um, and uh, and then we go the next step, right? Now we went from research, which is broad, right? So broad collective information. Then we get to our own chart for the rectification. So we might be moving a few minutes here or there, or 12 seconds. And then we go to relationship charts, right?
Yeah.
The third
Yeah.
topic. So that's exciting. I like how it's going to grow.
Yeah. So we're going to be doing the Davidson chart and it,
Some
which
people might not know what that is. Can you? Because most people are so used to using, like,
the
I get it
synastry
off of
chart.
astro.com. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you go to the synastry chart and basically what you're doing is an average of the midpoints of the planetary positions. So you find the midpoint of
Right.
this person's Mars to that person's Mars. And whereas the Davidson, you're taking the average of the birthday and the average of the location,
Oh, okay.
which gives you a place and a time, as opposed to, something where you can end up with Venus opposite the sun. Which, if that ever happened, that would be pretty scary. The universe
I,
would be dissolving.
yeah. Venus doesn't
Yeah,
like to be that far from the sun.
but granted, with the synastry chart, yeah, Venus opposite the sun can explain elements of the relationship. It can work out that way, but you cannot do solar arc progressions. So we'll be explaining that in the workshop.
Okay, so you're going to take everybody through it on how they could go in and create their chart as a Davidson chart, and so that
Yeah,
has
and
it.
in
Because so
fact,
basically, what you're saying with the Davidson chart is if someone's birthday is say January 1st, and another person's birthday would be July 1st, it would be somewhere in between around April 1st. I mean,
yeah,
I know that's not exact, but that's the concept,
exactly. Yeah,
right?
no,
If one
yeah,
lived in San Francisco and one lived in New York, it would be somewhere in the middle of the country there.
Kansas City, let's say.
Yeah. Oh, that's so interesting. I never used that. I might have to go back and do a little look see at that. And what
Yeah.
would that tell us by looking at that chart versus like the composite chart?
Well, first of all, the one thing that it gives you similar type of information, what kind of relationship it is, but because you can do solar arcs and transits and secondary progressions, you could get more information as to where that relationship is going.
Hmm.
And in it, you can also find out how a group can behave together. And in my talk, I'll be talking about the Pete Best Beatles versus the Ringo Starr Beatles,
Oh,
and how those charts actually interact and intermingle based on transits. First of all, it tells you the personality. Will this band be big? Will the other band be big? And then, I'll take you through the demise of the Beatles as well.
wow. So you could do it for more than just two people, is what you can create that chart. You could take like a family of four or whatever, a group of
Yeah,
four people, and you get all their locations, and then it averages out to one location and one birth date, and it creates a chart that's the living relationship of those four people.
yeah,
Wow,
exactly.
that is fascinating.
Yeah, so it's a bit more versatile because again, it ends up being a real chart.
Right.
Yeah, and you
Wow.
get to see that in action at the talk.
Yeah, that'll be fun to see that in action with everybody knows the Beatles, right? They're legendary, right? Who doesn't know? Will we be playing some music in the background?
Um,
Bring your guitar?
well, I usually travel when I travel. I do travel with a portable electric guitar. So it's basically just a little stick like this. But
Yeah.
I'm usually going through the airports, dragging my little guitar with me. Get
All
some
right, so
practice.
no promises, everyone. We might get some music, but no promises. We'll have to see how that is. So, and I think I asked you this earlier, but I want to ask it for everybody. This can really be enjoyed by all levels, from beginners to advanced, because they'll just see it from different perspectives, right?
Correct. Yes. Yeah, and then definitely, things like, well, the rectification is a good thing to implant that into people's minds early. Um,
Yeah.
and, if you're a beginner, start considering that. It takes a bit of skill, but that's fine. You'll pick up on the techniques. The Davidson chart, that's something, if you're learning astrology, it's reading it, interpreting a chart just like a natal chart. And
Yeah.
then also the research, it's just pointers in a lot of different things, and you get to see some cool. I'm examining earthquakes. I'm examining. Um, oh, I'm forgetting what I'm examining.
Yeah.
Earthquakes. I'm doing earthquakes for sure. I'm doing elections, even predicting
Oh.
elections, and I'll be presenting a part of that.
Oh, that'll be fun. See, and I think to be honest, I feel like for people who are new to astrology, seeing it actually play out, right? Like I joke, like, yeah, I'm not a big history buff girl, whatever, but when you see the astrology, when people always present that research, it's like fascinating, right? Even if you might not know how to do it yourself, it just, helps you see how these dots do connect, right? If
Exactly.
especially if
Yeah,
you decide you want to go that way one day.
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. So my gosh, so everybody were like, yeah, that's what I'm telling you, that you're getting three for the price of one, right? Normally we have speakers that come and they talk about one topic. Here we got three topics, but kind of all flow. I love it. Something from the collective, so you could get an idea, right? It's all about analyzing data, right? Like that's what, like I think you called this workshop like analyze this. Which I love that clip from the movie play. I don't know if you did that, but analyze
Yeah,
this,
yeah, yeah. It's kind of
right?
where it came from.
Right, so we're going to get three topics. We're going to look from a collective and see how you could collect data and do this type of research to find commonalities in charts. And we hear people say that all the time. Oh, when you see that in a chart, it's typically this, right? When you see
Yeah,
the sun in the 12th house, when you see Saturn in the 12th house, when you see this, whatever, conjunct this, right? There's all these things that we always hear, right? Well, how did that come to be? How did people come to find that? It's because of all this research. So understanding this process I think, is really important.
well, yeah, that's the thing I find fascinating about us, totally fascinating about astrology, because a lot of these, uh, houses and planetary signatures, it came from thousands of years ago, and so people must have been writing stuff down and passing it on, and other people adding to it and developing it. But like, who was the first one who looked up and went, ugh?
Right.
Ugh, oh, ooh, ooh, whatever.
Oh,
right?
that's it, right. The stories you hear about the eclipses when our ancestors, first saw eclipse and they didn't know what was going on, or Venus, right? They got confused. Venus, the morning star, the evening star. They're like, what happened?
Yeah, exactly. During eclipses, a funny thing about eclipses, the Vikings believed that the Fenris wolf, Chaos, was swallowing the moon when an eclipse happened. So they'd throw rocks at the moon, right? Try to
Yeah.
scare the Fenris wolf away, right? So,
Oh my gosh, that is a crazy, right? And I've heard crazy stories where they were so worried that the like king or whoever was going to die that they would have a duplicate guy out there, like a double, and then they put him in the cave. Like, yeah, they didn't know, right? But now we have it. Now we have all this technology, which is going to help. I really believe. What do you think? I think all this AI and all that is really going to help speed up this research for us.
it can,
Right?
although
And the computer programs, right? Because I know in financial astrology now, like before you didn't have all this data. Now you could like download whatever, the NASDAQ data and download the astrological data and you could put it in, a programmer whips up stuff and finds the trends and stuff, you know?
yeah, Alfie has his stock trading program. He's just passed me a copy just to have a look at it and see what you can do. But you can see the trends. You can plug it in and you can look at stock. A lot of even with the research that I'll be presenting using Alfie's fast research program, you can see you can get it instantaneously up there. Like I'll be sitting in an astrology lecture and I'll have my computer on, and someone will say, "Oh yeah, if you got this, this is a signature of the axe murderer." And I go, "Okay, here's the axe murderers." Oh, it's only 10 of them out of the 150 that actually have that signature, but okay.
Yeah, you're like, okay, yeah, that's not enough. Yeah. I'm a statistics girl too. I have a, accounting and math background. So all my friends are like, how do you like statistics? I'm like, I love statistics.
Yeah, but that's one of the things I also talk about in how statistics can be misused too. So,
That is true. Yes, as a
and,
former accountant, I always tell people that too when I see stuff. I'm like, people would say, I would say to them, I go, when I was in accounting, I'm like, when I work for private, not for public accountants. And I said, well, what do you want? Well, what story do you want to tell? Tell me what story you want to tell. I'll find you the data.
yeah.
Right? That's how that's how it is, tell me what you're looking for.
And,
So,
and that's where we as astrologers, like I was almost gonna conclude something until I stepped back and look at the data, and I went, oh, never mind, that's irrelevant. Okay, no, cross that off the list. Okay, no, that didn't work. No, but it's about being honest too when you're doing
yeah.
research, because like you look at a lot of in industry. Smoking's good for you. And how many years I remember my doctor, you smoke? No? Okay, good. Right? And doctors recommend, Camel cigarettes over any other brand, right? There was commercials back in the 50s and
Back in the
60s, and they're smoking, right? And then, because supposedly it was good for you, and everyone smoked. And then all of a sudden the data started coming out, and real data started coming out. And they went, they buried us, they buried a lot of the statistics. You know,
yeah.
okay, forget that lab mouse, but these two are good, right?
Yes.
So,
So great. So everyone, we're going to learn about this. This is going to be brilliant. Then we're going to learn about like how steps that you could take to rectify your chart to be more accurate because that's great for prediction, right? For timing, right? You don't want it to be off a year or two. You want to know, you want to be closer to when things happen. Otherwise, you could be stressing yourself out. You could be misreading your chart and you could be living like in fear, like, oh my God, this is going to happen. And then two years later, right? Or
yeah,
you might be thinking, oh my God, I'm going to win the lottery. And then my chart says I'm supposed to be lucky with money. And then you're like, it didn't happen. It didn't happen. It didn't happen. So, and then the last but not least, by any means, because everybody's always about relationships. I know they're more thinking about love relationships, but it's good to know that you can use astrology for all relationships. And I see that too with a lot of family dynamics, right? Not just in romantic relationships, but I think it's probably very helpful for, whatever, mothers and sons, mothers and daughters, uh,
uh,
sisters, brothers,
soccer team.
soccer team, right? Yeah.
Who are you
Man,
putting on
right
the
about
pitch
it.
today? Who are you going to put
Right?
on the pitch? Pick your 11 guys, put them all on to see what the Davidson chart's going to say. Well, let's sub this guy in for that guy, and then, oh, okay, yeah, let's go with him instead, right? You know,
Oh my gosh,
coaches
man,
can
I'm
do
loving
that.
that this idea. I was like, because when I was in consulting, right, and I'd have to, build my project team. I always said I wish I was an astrologer back then, just to know what the emotions of the group were like. You know, like that was a funny thing because when I would be with the accounting people, as an Aries, right, we have a lot of fire, right, and when I was in accounting and which was mostly male oriented, they were like okay with me when I came in, boom, boom, boom. But then I had to do an HR project, which probably had a lot of water people on that. And I would come in and they would be like, oh, oh, like I was too much for them. So I would build my team better just from something as simple as the elements. But now if I had this, I really could build a superstar team.
Yeah, 100%.
I love it. So like you guys, so there's so much possibility here. So whatever you do, even if you're not an astrologer full time, this could have some really, really good use for you. Building sports teams, building work teams, building whatever. Teams for whatever, if you're a charity person, like who's going to be the best group of people to help us raise the most money?
And the important thing is, when I'm presenting, I'm not gonna be what you people imagine. Oh, it's research. Hi, like some of my university professors. This is what we do for this. So don't worry, you're not getting that. I'm a bit
All
more
right,
active.
everybody. See that? Because I'm going to be honest. I was a little worried myself. I was like, oh, research. It sounds like work. But now, after meeting Franco, I know that this is going to be, and because he's an Aries, I know it's going to be a fun film. Because what I tell everybody when I teach just basics, I say, listen, Aries is fire and fire equals fun.
Hey,
Like, there's no way around it.
I'll
Fun
agree with
equals fun. Because we're not getting angry in this workshop. We're only going to have fun.
Oh yeah.
We're going to learn and we're going to have fun. So I'm super excited. So if any of you want to get to know Franco a little bit more, you could go to his website. It's soulbody.ca, correct?
Correct.
SOULBODY.ca. Did I get it?
You got it.
Perfect. Anything else that everybody should know about you that we could get them rocking and rolling? Besides the fact that he might do a little guitar for us.
Other than the fact that I started painting again, I was a good artist when I was a little kid, and I stopped. Now I'm starting to get into painting. So, like, I don't know. It's like
Oh,
I'm all over the map.
right? Because we already heard him mention, if you didn't hear it, that he does tarot and runes and all the other bunch of healing arts as well.
And
And
sports, I'm running and kickboxing in the mornings.
now, when we're doing this, I just want to make sure I can't think of anything, but would they need to bring their own personal charts? Will we be looking at any of their attendees' charts?
We can. If they
Is
can,
it
well, I'll have my computer there so we can plug in data.
okay? So, because I was the only one I could think about would maybe be the rectification one, but like the first one's like research, so that one we want. The third topic, we're kind of going to be looking at the Beatles. That would be might be a little bit harder, although we could do our group, but it's probably going to be too many people for that.
Or someone who has, a couple, and we can look at their quickly analyze their couple chart. So,
Okay, so everybody bring your charts, and we'll see what how that goes. We'll
all right.
see what we can find out. So, oh my gosh, this was amazing. I'm so excited. I hope you guys are too. So that is on April 26th. It'll be live here in South Florida at Nova University. Otherwise, you can catch this on Zoom. Either way, you will get the recording, the replay, whether you attend live or you attend on Zoom. So don't worry if you missed something during the session, because there's so many. We got 3 topics here. You'll get the replay. You'll be able to go back and watch them again and again and again. And I know he's going to entertain us for sure. All right, everybody. Thank you and hope to see you there.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.